Welcome to today's conversation, where we are cracking open the cage of toxic masculinity. It's a system built on fear of vulnerability, fear of rejection, fear of stepping outside the script. And here's the twist: it doesn't just trap men, it traps women too. Together, we'll explore how fear keeps us silent, how strength gets twisted into suppression, and how breaking free can change everything. So, this is the call now.
Have you ever seen like posts or videos about a fragile masculinity?
Could you tie this down for me, as in?
Yeah, so it's basically videos about speaking about when men are like very defensive or ego comes first when they're targeted. So let's say it's like I don't know, let's say a woman is telling a man at a workplace like, oh, you didn't complete this today. Immediately they're gonna get defensive, right? It's gonna be like, oh, but you didn't do this either, so why are you like watching over what I'm doing? It's none of your business. And so people kind of label that as male fragility. Like they're doing this because they're, there's something there that their immediate reaction is to act that way. So I was gonna ask you, to what extent do you think male fragility is a product of, toxic masculinity norms in a society?
Okay, before we even get to this, my
Yes.
question is, getting defensive anytime you're spotted,
Yeah.
right? Or you put on spot,
Yeah.
right? How often does that happen only with men, or does it happen with everyone? Because I have seen even females
Yes.
within our own family. Say, for instance, if a daughter says, Mom, I feel like if you would please give me a little bit of space, or if you could really treat me in the way I deserve, how quickly those females also get defensive.
I mean, for sure, but I think in this context, it's very much more men reacting to women, or men reacting to assertiveness from women, or anything. It's really this concept. It's more relating to interactions between men and women, and less between the same sex. Because this seems to pop up more like in the workplace, or when talking about like even like let's say we're speaking about gender equality, they're gonna feel targeted. And that causes them to react a certain way.
Oh, I see.
So that's why people are like, why do you think this is?
Well, let's take an example here. There's a tiger
Okay.
that shows up in front of you. You're literally walking on a path. I'm not saying you're in a city or somewhere, but say in the countryside, you're walking on a path and there's a tiger right in front of you.
Okay.
What's the first thing that happens to you?
I mean, run, or what's the saying? Like you fight or freeze. What is it?
Fight or flight?
Fight or flight. Thank you. So one or the other. Haven't been faced by a tiger yet, so I would either freeze or I would either fight.
Before the tiger encounter, the timing between the tiger encounter and your fight and flight response, what is one thing that happened in between that made you fight or run away?
I mean, I was scared.
Come again.
I was scared.
Fear
Yeah.
leads to aggression.
Yeah.
Aggression in terms of fight, if you choose to fight.
Yeah.
Or fear leads to flight. I'm going to run away. So now this terminology and this analogy is pretty relatable in terms of the fact that you just raised.
100%.
When there is fear of any sense, when you feel your security is threatened, because your security is not in a strong foundation in the first place. This happens not only for men but also for women.
Yeah.
So now when you encounter fear, for men it's fight, for women it's flight. Most of the time.
Yeah.
It's that basic how we are operating.
Yeah.
It's that basic. So when you say toxic masculinity, more so it's not rooted, your masculinity is actually, it doesn't apply to everyone. Of course, there are exceptions, and I have seen those exceptions. But for majority of the cases, your toxic masculinity is more so rooted in fear. Fear of losing power, fear of losing position, fear of losing assertiveness, fear of losing control. And when that fear creeps in, there's an automatic response of defensiveness, of attack, of trying to safeguard oneself, and even if that means the use of violence.
I mean, like fear causes us to do a lot of things.
Yeah. 100%.
It's, very spoken about in psychology as well. Why do you think that fear is there? When I think, feminism movements have made it abundantly clear that feminism is not about overpowering men, it's just about equality, right? That's where it's rooted, that's where it started. Equal rights. Why do you think that this fear response in men is still so prevalent? Because why are they scared? They're not losing anything. It's really just mutual respect. And yet that response is almost how I've seen it, it's almost always immediate.
Yeah. The reason for this is, in my understanding, masculinity, whenever you see a child, a male, a boy at home or anything like that, the way they see masculinity is more so, can you provide for your family? Are you a provider?
Yeah.
Can you control certain factors? Can you be assertive? Can you be dominant in certain ways, even if sometimes that dominance is viewed as healthy? So now, when equal rights, or if there is a voice for equality, from the other side, it's perceived as a feeling of loss of control, loss of dominance, loss of, because my worth, my masculinity was tied to being able to control. So now if there is equality, who will I control? Existential crisis. Existential crisis, fear, a natural response.
I really like that you said that if there's equality, then it's like, what will I control? I love that you said that, simply because a lot of men like to say that we are equal now, when so evidently it's not. Sure, on the surface, yes, we're equal. We can all vote now. Great, thank you for that. There's so much more to it. And men feeling this power loss is the biggest indicator that, look, you still think you have something to lose because you think we're not equal yet. That's why you think you have something to lose. When if I'm with someone who I think is my equal, which is most people, I don't like to think I'm above anyone, which I hope, other people don't think that way. I'm not scared of losing anything. I want my opinion to be heard, and most of the time, I'm lucky enough to be surrounded with people who listen to my opinion, who acknowledge me, and that's it. Even if you don't agree with me at the end of the day, or we decide to go in a different direction, you heard me, you acknowledged me. Thank you. That's all. That's it. It's
exactly. Even in our conversation, there are points when both of us don't align. We have different opinions, but that doesn't mean I start hitting you with my bottle or something. No.
Exactly.
That's not what's going to happen. We have provided space to understand, to listen. For the audiences who are going to drop their comments, bring in their perspectives, we are open with that. It's not about, my viewpoint is better, everyone else is having shitty concepts about whatever they think. No. That's not how it is. And I'm not saying that all men think that way. There are men who do acknowledge. And you will see certain men who are so deeply rooted in their self-worth, which is beyond toxic masculinity, that they do provide space. And it's you will feel a sense of mutual conversation happening there, rather than something where there is indirect power struggle or control which is happening around.
I mean, I've had this conversation. This was a conversation I had at school with one of my professors, and I really think this was one of the most interesting conversations. My professor, he wasn't born here. He wasn't I guess, white man, you can say. He is from a colored country, and so we were talking, and he told me, he's like, when I moved here a while, quite a few years ago, he was like, I was labeled white because my skin wasn't dark. Okay, he had pretty fair skin, but as in he wasn't American, he wasn't Canadian, he wasn't, and he had a different ethnicity. So he was like, but because his skin was fair, he was labeled white. So he was telling me how that kind of made him understand why men behave the way they do. This is probably one of my favorite conversations I've had with someone, and he was like, there's this sense of that men have, that it's like we are owed this. We are owed to be treated this way.
Yeah.
And he's like, I kind of got a taste of it when I was labeled the superior race,
Yeah.
right? I was, all of a sudden, I was white. And it was like, I you know, you have expectations. You think that because it's so deeply rooted that those expectations aren't talked about, but they're expected.
They're expected and they are hinted at indirectly.
Yeah, exactly. And that was really just, I really truly appreciated that conversation, because I know that's not easy to say to someone, right? And it just got me, and I still haven't, you know, I had this conversation 2 years ago and I still haven't forgotten it, because I'm like, can I, you know, if I, like, this is going to sound stupid. Have you ever like had a long day and you're going back home and you're thinking about that one cookie you put away for you, and you're like, oh, I'm going to go home, I'm going to eat that cookie. Like, I'm so excited. You go home and your sibling ate the cookie. Oh my God, the fury, the wrath you're going to feel is crazy, because I'm like, I was waiting this whole day for that cookie. And that's kind of how I understood what my professor was speaking about. You know, if you grow up your entire life thinking you're going to be treated a certain way, and then all of a sudden, diversity, inclusivity, all this pops up, and you're like, why am I not treated this way anymore?
Yeah.
And I think I brought this up because I think it's pretty important to talk about, because I'm like, you know, in a weird way, I do understand that if you think you're owed something your entire life and you don't get it, yeah, you're going to be frustrated.
You know, yeah, sorry to cut you off.
No, I was just going to say, but it's still important to understand that you're not actually getting anything removed from you. You know, you're just giving other people the right to be treated as humans, to be treated as equals. And that shouldn't feel like giving something up.
You know, what's interesting here is like the conversation that you mentioned about having with your professor, and a couple of conversations that I've had with people around me. I feel we are so deeply attached to the backgrounds that we come from, to the class, to the race, to the cultures that we belong to, that we think it's permanent, we are invincible, and we have something, and if it's taken away from us, we will die. That is exactly how your egos operate. For ego, detaching yourself from the identity that was handed to you by the society is death for ego. So it feels like, oh, there is an attack on me, and it seems like as if I've been shooted with a gun. That's the exact feeling whenever you are outcasted from your own society, or when you are left out, and that is why the fear of missing out is so prevalent, and the feeling of lack of belongingness. Yes, you can have a feeling of belongingness, but do not run after that. Don't have that expectation. If you cannot belong to yourself, let me make it very clear. If you cannot belong to yourself, you cannot belong to any group that you're striving to be with. And I find it really weird. Oh, I'm a white person, I'm an Asian person, I'm a black woman, I'm this. We're so quick to label ourselves, and when that is taken away from us, we feel a sense of disturbance, as your professor was also mentioning. Like, he didn't expect to be treated a certain way, and people just mistakenly labeled him as that. It's the same way as saying, I'm depressed, I'm anxious, I'm nervous, I am feeling anxious, I am feeling nervous, I'm feeling threatened. I belong to a race which is black. I belong to a certain culture. Rather than saying I am. Because when you say I am, then it becomes a part of identity, your identity, and when it's taken away from you, it's going to give you a pain as if a breakup gives you. I
mean, I do agree. I do think it is a bit more complicated than that, simply because how society works. You know, I am, you know, I'm part of this ethnicity, I'm part of this culture, but it kind of also is who you are because of how society works. This is what you're going to be labeled as.
Society is going to work because they're working from an unconscious pattern. When you are aware, it's the same way as, you know, you've served in a service, say military, you were serving there, and after 30 years, once you retire, you have this feeling, well, now what? I was a revered journal, cut. I was a revered lieutenant journal, and now I'm just left without any identity. So when you say I am this, and instead of that, I work as this, There is a huge difference between that. And that is where, even if everything... Yeah. Have you read this book by Viktor Frankl?
I don't think, no.
Man's Search for Meaning.
No.
I really recommend this one, which was talking about, even if everything is taken away from you, the only choice that now you are left with is to choose your response. He was taken away from his profession, he was taken away from his life. They were placed in concentration camps. He was taken off, his clothes were taken off, he was shaved completely,
Yeah.
his head was shaved. Imagine a scenario when everything is taken away from you. Everything! Your own body hair, your like everything, like your hair and a part of you is just taken away from you. And even after that, you're saying that all you have is still the freedom to choose your response.
Yeah.
And that is the key. That is what matters. Everything will fade. Okay, well, yeah, my hair are not taken away, but probably could be because of any reason that they just go off. And then again, existential crisis for women. When aging sets in, when they see their wrinkled hands, they're like, oh, well, what's happening to me? Because you attach yourself so strongly that I'm a beautiful woman. I've always been labeled as the beautiful girl in my class, in my college, in my workplace. And now when this aging is setting in, I'm feeling a sense of shake, a sense of dissonance here. Because I don't know who am I then in the first place.
So to wrap it up, given what you said, do you think that if people learned how to, not dissociate, but to understand the difference between who you are and identities that you, I guess, relate to or are associated with, do you think this phenomenon of like male fragility or toxicity would be less because of this?
I believe so. The reason for that is once you understand that you don't have to, it's like, oh, you are masculine if you have an athletic body, if you have control over this, if you're a provider. Well, if you do not even match up, these expectations are created by society. It's not somewhere set in stone.
Yeah.
And the reason when we attach ourselves to these, we think that if we don't have it, I don't belong to that group, and now I'm an outcast.
Yeah.
What do you belong to and what you don't belong to is also an illusion. We think we belong to a certain thing when in reality that never existed in the first place. Let me bring out a very simple example here. Nation states never existed. They are a creation of human mind.
Yeah.
Political organizations were never there. Economic organizations were never there in the first place. They are all creation of human mind, of human societies. It's that basic as a creation of human mind.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. Like a lot of, if you think about it, there's no date when you're learning history. There's no date of when, this is when happiness was created. No, but there are dates of when capitalism was created, of when this political party was created. Yeah. So I fully agree with what you just said there. Do you have any last words you want to speak about in relation to the concept of male fragility or masculine toxicity? Toxic masculinity?
Just one sentence. Yeah. Befriend your fear. And it's not only for men, it's for everyone out there, including women. Befriend your fear. Fear is really important. Like if you never had fear, you would go and jump off the buildings. Right?
Yeah.
Fear is, in a way, it does operate in a healthy sense, but becomes unhealthy when you use it in ways that is helping you to cling to a false sense of identity. So, become aware of it. Befriend your fear.